I heard about this man that finally he started to come back to services with his wife every Shabbat morning instead of going fishing or playing golf with his friends. Finally. So the rabbi at the end of the service went to welcome the person and said, "We are so happy to see you back. What happened?" And then the man said, "You know, Rabbi, I finally learned that it's a matter of choice. I rather listen to your sermons than hers." I hope that's true. I didn't realize my wife will be present when I prepared this sermon, but hey, she knows me already. So I want to talk to you today about a moment of hope. A moment of hope. And I think I can relate with all of you when I say that, reading the news or watching the news or looking around the world is kind of depressing. It is in general, and it's more now, particularly with everything that is happening with our brothers and sisters in Israel. But there is so much more going on in the world. It's kind of depressing, not so much sometimes what happens, but how little we can do to change things. I don't know if you ever felt that way, that you feel powerless against everything that is going on around us. That includes many things. That includes war, of course, but includes poverty, climate, social issues, etc. We feel powerless. And we have a conversation with ourselves to say, I'm just one person. What can one person do to change the entire world? And let me tell you something, it's true. You're just one person. But you know what else is also true? That you have no idea. You are totally unaware of your potential. And this is a fact, because we never know the consequences of our words, of our actions, and sometimes of our money, where we allocate our money. And we feel that there is nothing we can do, but in fact, sometimes what we say and what we do have a positive impact that you are not aware, and maybe you are never going to be aware of what you've done for somebody else or for a place. And it's a thing that sometimes we have to realize, that we should never stop doing good things, because you never know what kind of difference your action may create. And this is something that happens in this week's Parsha, and it's a fascinating thing. As I mentioned before, even though we didn't read it from the Torah, we have the story of the 12 spies. What happened there? The people were afraid to enter to the promised land because they didn't know who was living there. They heard stories, but they wanted to be sure. So Moses sent 12 spies, one representing each tribe. To me, when I read that, that is already a red flag, right? Because why did they have to send one representing each tribe? And that is because they didn't trust each other. Can you imagine you send only 2 or 3, and then the others say, well, how can I be sure that whatever report they bring back is true? I want to send somebody from my tribe to be sure that whatever they bring back is factual. Okay, Moses went along with that plan, and it is difficult because it's not the same to send like Joshua, we read it in the Haftorah, to send only 2 spies, that they can move faster, than to send a large group of 12, that, try to imagine in those days, 12 people entered to your city. Wouldn't you be suspicious of them? But whatever. They sent 12 spies. They came back. It means that at least they were very good into not being caught as spies. They came back, the 12, 10 of them brought back a negative report. They said it is impossible to conquer the promised land. It's full of giants. They're going to eat us alive. And people believed it. And people believed that report, even though there was another report that it was brought by Joshua and Caleb, that it says, we should go. They didn't believe them. They wanted to go back to Egypt. But then something happened. Try to imagine this. Everybody, the entire Jewish nation, they wanted to go back to Egypt. And there was one person, and you will say, again, what can one person do? It's only one person. And that person was Caleb ben Yefuneh, Caleb. And he said, what are you talking about? Of course we should go. We should go ahead. We are going to be successful. We are going to enter to the promised land. It's going to be our land. And then the other 10 said, no, we shouldn't go because they are going to defeat us. Now there is something very interesting here. And it was, I learned it from Rabbi Moshe Feinstein, a very famous rabbi from the 20th century in the United States, that he said, why the 10 spies who brought the negative report felt that they have to somehow reply or say something on top of what Caleb said. And the answer that he brings is because people started to believe Caleb and Yefuneh. That message of hope that Caleb brought to the Jewish people, that we can do it, we can succeed, we can enter to the promised land, people started to believe it. They have faith once again. They were uplifted once again. And we don't know how long that went on, because the Torah never gives us a timeline, right? Maybe the reply of the 10 spies was right away. Maybe it was hours after, days after. Who knows? Maybe it was after days when they saw that more and more people started to believe that they were able to enter to the promised land thanks to Caleb, that one person. And that's why they felt that they have to once again gossip about the land, saying that it was a terrible idea to go there because they were going to be defeated. And then, and this is an interesting thing that we learn from Caleb, and there is a great reward in God's eye. When you can give somebody else, even if it's for a moment, hope, strength, spiritual life, enlightenment, etc. And that's what Caleb did. He brought, just for a moment, maybe for hours, maybe for days, to all these people, he gave them all these renewed spiritual energies. And because of that, even if it was a limited time, he was rewarded with a ticket to the promised land. Everybody else, and that was God's punishment, everybody else, the 10 spies plus everybody else who believed them, now they were going to die in the desert, and a new generation was going to enter to the promised land, with two exceptions. Joshua, and we know Joshua because he was, the new leader after Moses, so he had to survive to enter. But the other one is Caleb. And what was so great about Caleb? The fact that he was able to give hope to the other people. And he was only one person. And this is something that we can learn from this week's Parsha, because you never know what kind of impact that word, that action, that donation you made may have in the future. As I say it again, maybe you will never know. But we do it out of faith, into knowing that each one of our actions will have a positive reaction. There is a famous story that I read long ago. It's about a man called, I don't know if you heard it before, Howard Kelly. Howard Kelly, the story started when he was a little boy. He couldn't support, he was very poor. He needed to support his family. So he was selling things door to door. Okay? And one day, he was hungry, he was thirsty. So he knocks at the door asking for a glass of water. And this young woman opened the door, and she realized right away that this boy wasn't just thirsty, he was hungry. So he gave her not just water, but a big glass of milk, which of course he thanked and went on to his day and his life. Many years later, this man, Howard Kelly, became a doctor, a renowned doctor. One day, this woman developed a rare illness, and she needed a specialized surgery, who was done, even though she didn't realize, but Dr. Howard Kelly. And then, at the end of the surgery, this doctor requested the bill of the hospital, and he wrote, "Paid in full with a glass of milk." You never know what your little, or quote unquote, little act of kindness today will create in the future. I hope if you have a chance to learn or to be blessed with somebody else's kind words, actions, or money, you will have a chance to at least say thank you. This is something that I realized early in my life, and I always try to reach out to people who made an impact in who I am today, to go and thank them for what they did. And to my surprise again, they were shocked that, really, for this conversation we had, really, for this that you learned from me? Yes, because that is this amazing domino effect that we can have with positive words and positive actions. So this week, as we read the story of Caleb ben Yefuneh, please remember that yes, you are only one person, but that act of kindness that you are not so sure if you should do it, or that positive word that you are not so sure if you should say it, or that donation that you are not so sure if you should make it, go ahead, because you never know what you're going to create, and you never know what kind of promised land is waiting for you ahead of the way. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.